This is Talk Business and Politics with Roby Brock.
And welcome to the program and our new time. I'm Roby Brock. Thanks so much for tuning in. Well, this past week, there's been a Cuban flavor for several Arkansas travelers. Governor Asa Hutchinson led a trade delegation from Arkansas to Cuba to discuss potential export opportunities, notably for Arkansas's agricultural interests. Joining me to talk business and some politics is Wes Ward, Arkansas's Agriculture Secretary. Thank you so much for being with us, Wes.
Yes, sir. Great to be here.
I know you're tired, too, so thank you for coming in on late notice like that. Tell me a little bit about the trip. How was it? What was your maybe expectations for Cuba, and maybe what did you kind of witness when you were there?
Yeah, so we got in Sunday and just literally got back about an hour ago back into Little Rock. So it's been a busy last few days, but going over there, really the expectation was we wanted to take that first step to create some relationships, kind of learn a little bit about how the Cubans do business, and I think we've certainly done that, and I think we've exceeded some of those expectations. Had a great last few days. Got to meet with several key individuals within the Cuban government especially on the agricultural side. And when the governor of the state goes with you, when the governor's out there promoting Arkansas and promoting agricultural products, it just means that much more, and it delivers a much heavier, more powerful message. And he did a wonderful job on the trip.
Tell me about the landscape. Is it impoverished as we see the buildings run down, the cars run down? I mean, kind of what was your impression of what you saw in that respect in terms of society, maybe as a whole?
Right. So it wasn't nearly as bad as what I expected, to be honest. And I think probably most of the delegation would say the same. Were they, was it their Fortune 500 people? No, they weren't. But they weren't. It wasn't abject poverty like some might assume. But it was interesting. They're going through a period where they're increasing their economic opportunities, where they're trying to shift things away from state-owned, state-ran government to more of a free market type structure. And so they're starting to see some changes, but they certainly have a long way to go on that. And when you look at where they're at now, certainly there's infrastructure problems, there's those sort of capacity, basic fundamental problems, but I think that they're starting to head in the right direction.
So the governor led the delegation. I saw a few pictures that were sent back. It looked like y'all were in a room. Maybe he was speaking from a podium, or he was playing basketball, one of those two things. So surely y'all did some other things in between all of that. Tell me a little bit about your schedule and what you guys did.
Absolutely. So it stayed a very busy schedule, and the governor did get him and Mike Preston did get a basketball game in with the Cuban national team, which made the front page of their newspaper. So they were a big hit there, and but a very busy schedule for everyone that was down there. The number one purpose was to get down there and make those connections and really have a productive trip, and we did. We had, I think it was supposed to be 49 people total on the trip, including the governor's staff and the business delegation. 2 state senators were also there. And everyone was very committed, very dedicated, and driven on what they were there for. And that included schedules for the governor, specifically himself, and different meetings for the different business delegation that were there on their specific interests. So it was a busy trip.
So give me your takeaway. There is a little bit of limited trade going on right now, but it kind of circumvents from the U.S. to a third party or a third country, then into Cuba. Right. What do you think after the trip? What do you think is the potential now, realistically, of expanding Arkansas's agricultural products into Cuba?
Right.
What has to happen?
Right. So there has been a couple of studies through the University of Arkansas Division of Agriculture, as well as USDA, on what the economic impact could be for agriculture as a whole in the United States, and also what that impact could be for Arkansas. And so there is a little bit of trade going in, but with the tourism restrictions and the financing restrictions, it's fairly limited.
So really until the federal Congress or the U.S. administration changes some policy or position, this was all just laying some foundation for that day.
Absolutely, absolutely. So if those financing restrictions are lifted or eased some, that could be about a $36 million economic impact for Arkansas agriculture specifically, and about $29-30 million of that could be for Arkansas rice industry. And so that could happen pretty quick, and that ranges from just a normal Cuban citizen to also their tourism industry as well. So they consume a lot of rice, they consume a lot of poultry, and that's 2 things that Arkansas does very well.
All right. He's Wes Ward, Arkansas's Agriculture Secretary. Thank you so much, and I look forward to learning a little bit more about what all went on in this big trip here. Maybe you'll take a reporter with you next time.
We'll see about that.
I'll volunteer.
Yes, sir.